Whoops. G'day, mate. And Australians hate it when you try to imitate them. Oh, I don't sound like that, mate. Okay, I know you don't. You don't sound like... Oh, and people keep asking me, and it's rather an obvious question. You never seen the meerkat? It's that little cat that lives out in the desert and burrows holes, and they're always standing up on their hind legs and like looking around. Yeah, you've seen the meerkat? They're looking for predators, right? They're really smart and kind of friendly. Some people have them as pets. I don't know why, but they stand up on their hind legs to get up high and like look around, looking for predators. People say, why talk about Australia? You know, it's too far away. It's too expensive for me to even travel there. I'd love to visit Australia, but the reason for that is that it could very easily portend things, prognosticate things for the rest of the world. There are some outliers. I'd like to talk about, I've been fed a lot of information. I mean, like undeniable videos and stuff from a lot of Australians. I mean, a lot of videos, and a lot of it is rather horrific and at the very least disgusting. There are a lot of YouTube channels, including some news outlets here in America. It's getting so bad in Australia that all of this time, except for the past like week and a half, nobody in mainstream media America, not that I care about those lying fools, has talked about Australia. But now they are, because so many, just rabidly nasty things are going on there. But a lot of YouTubers, and I'm not going to do that, they just flat out said Australia has fallen. And there's a lot of Australians themselves that are saying Australia has fallen. And I think Australians are way closer to most Americans than we are to the English. I mean, that's just... I know Australia used to be a penal colony, and a place to throw the prisoners, and a lot of them are other than the Aboriginals, of course, are British by ancestry. I know this, but it's the mentality of the Australians that I think that Americans are a lot closer to Australians than Americans are to the British, and that's really kind of undeniable. So most Americans I know, nearly all of them really, I mean, really love Australians, and so do I. I'd like to make a subjective statement here, and before talking about the stuff that's been given to me by Australians, stuff that I've looked into and it's proven to be true, is that the police force of Australia, a significant number of them, should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, they really should be ashamed of the stuff that they're doing against their own citizens. Something to juxtapose that is what the Swiss police, you could look this up too. A lot of people are lazy, they won't look this up. It's like, where's the link at? It's like, look it up, it's everywhere. The Swiss police have come out, I think a large portion of them, in Switzerland, or the Schweiz, and have flat out said that they are not going to be cohorts to a global cabal, global reset, and do bad things to the citizens of Switzerland. This is what the police... Switzerland has something else very much in common with America. The Swiss people, I don't know if you know this or not, they're in possession of certain items that certain items that the Australians were deprived of in the 1990s. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but anyway, the Swiss police came out and talked about that. I also, too, like to make one subjective statement before talking about the facts, is that all of this will end as soon as the Aussies themselves, the citizenry, decide it's time for it to end, and it won't end any sooner than that. I'm not going to make any comment on these facts here because it does nothing to contribute to an intelligent discussion on this. I read every comment, and I'd like to hear from you. Not all of this is about Australia, but about 95% of it is. And tons of Australians sent me the link to these Aussie truckers, and I watched I must have watched like 50 Aussie truckers, or you call them truckies down there. Here in the United States, we call them truckers, yeah, truckies, eh? And these Australians say that, I don't know if this is going to happen or not. I'm not going to take side one way or the other. All these Australian truckers say they're going to shut the whole country down on August the 31st, which is just a few days away. And they were warning the Australian citizens to stockpile food because they're either going to block the highways, or they're just not going to deliver, and they're going to, and I don't know, a lot of people are not aware of this, it includes the United States too, that the truckers, they control the lifeline of food and supply. They control a lot of stuff. You think it goes by train? It goes by truck, 95% of it. So the Aussie truckers are saying, whether they do this or not, I don't know, and it's none of my business. They say they're going to shut the country down, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I've seen literally countless videos of Australian cops who very shamefully are using hard rubber projectiles on their own citizens, including very young people. I've seen the video, and apparently all of this is for their health, right? People that are peacefully, now I'm not going to take a position on this one way or the other, whether they should be out of their houses or not. It's none of my business. I don't ever tell anybody what to do or what to think. I absolutely do not. These people are walking in the streets, and so the cops are using hard rubber projectiles on the citizens, and I have said now for quite some time that once the FDA approved the magic juice, that things would ramp up very, very fast, very, very soon, and it is going to. That's not a subjective statement. I know that's a fact, and it definitely is. I've seen videos in France where there's all these people with grocery carts. You could find it. It's all over the internet, okay? Trying to get into the grocery store. And you want to talk about something that will... that is disturbing, yeah, because they didn't have the magic juice passport. They couldn't get into the grocery store. We're not talking about going into a museum here or, buy some fancy clothing store. No, we're talking about a grocery store. One of them was a lady with a cart and had her little daughter in the cart. And I assume she'd go in there to buy some food for her daughter and being kept out, so... I'm not going to take a position on that. You let me know what you think about that. So that's a demonstrable fact. People don't like hypocrisy, and I don't care about politicians and their hypocrisy, but there's a California politician. She's an older lady. We won't say her name, but you know who she is. She had like a $30,000 plate, and she had all these... folks that were completely not wearing face diapers, but all their ethnic servants were, wearing face diapers, feeding, these fat people who none of them were wearing face diapers. And you want to talk about some hardcore hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy, period. That's not my opinion or belief. It's a fact. And this is something a lot of Australians have told me, and I will express, a position on this. A lot of Australians have told me, and I've seen thousands of comments from Aussies about this, that what's going on down there is an embarrassment. And I love Australians, and I'm not trying to single them out at all, but it's an embarrassment. And the Aussies agree on that. Demonstrably, they agree on that. On a factor of 99 to 100. There's always one comment in 100 from Australian is some sort of comment from a Karen, You know exactly what they say. They always say the same stuff. Locking people down in their houses for the rest of their lives is good for them. Is the only way we're... You know exactly what they say. I don't need to repeat it. I saw, a chief dog, if you will, meaning a big dog of the Australian police. I forget if it was Victoria or Melbourne. No, it was your big guy that you all seemed to not like. His name is Dan, and he was basically he called people that were out on the beach in the open air watching the sunset. You're calling it selfish and illegal and horrible. What sort of dystopian, strange, bizarro world are we in where I don't want to use the P word, the politician word, where the people that are governing you, are calling you selfish and horrible people for wanting to watch the sunset out in the, That's a genuine question. I'm not going to take a position on that, but what sort of bizarro world is that? I'm getting tons and tons of emails from Australians saying that they're both extremely pissed off, but more that they're scared as hell because the insanity just keeps ramping up and up and up and up. I've seen a lot of video of cops body slamming people. I mean, not like, these people are doing something horrible or they have some sort of device in their hand or something like that, like, body slamming people that are just walking down the street. I mean, brutalizing. When you take somebody who just has like a sign in their hand, and you have 4 or 5 officers that are body slamming them and physically assaulting them. I've seen a lot of video like that, including a 12-year-old girl who wasn't wearing a face diaper, 12-year-old girl. They body slammed her to the concrete, and after that, they maced her. They tear gassed her. Okay. I've seen that video like a dozen times. Don't ask me for a link. It's out there. I don't want to post a link to stuff. You find it yourself. Go on Twitter, go on Rumble, whatever. It's out there. It's real, of course. Here's a great one. Let me know what you think about this one. There's a kennel with a bunch of dogs. A bunch of people are going to come in to adopt the dogs. So it was collective or government folks in Australia that decided to keep people in their houses and keep them from showing up to pick up these dogs to adopt them. They just decided that they would, kill all the dogs, snuff them, eliminate them, So, yeah. So all these beautiful dogs waiting to be adopted. People are showing up to adopt. No. We can't have people leave their houses, going out and mingling and, trying to lead a life. And these dogs would have been emotional support animals to these people that are, now can't work, can't leave their house. No, we can't have you. So they killed all the dogs. This story is everywhere, by the way. You tell me what you think about that. I'm not going to take a position on it. Although I bet you could read my mind. Tell me what you think about that one, whether that's sane or not. The only thing that I could think, and tell me if I'm wrong, if you're an Aussie, you could tell me I'm full of poo when I say this, but this is a fact that happened. And Australia has always seemed to be very xenophobic in certain respects, kind of like bizarrely xenophobic. And here's an example of it. This happened a few years ago. Johnny Depp, the actor, him and his girlfriend, Amber, whatever her name was, they flew to Australia on their private jet to make a movie or to a TV show or something like that. And they brought their 2 little rat dogs. Cute little fluffy rat dogs, like this, yeah. 2 little rat dogs. Obviously expensive little pooches, little cute fluffy cotton balls with 4 legs. So they didn't go through some sort of governmental quarantine in Australia. You can look this up. It's everywhere. This happened a few years ago. So they didn't take them through quarantine. They immediately took it to the movie set or something. Somebody found out that Johnny Depp's little rat dog pooches, cute little cotton balls, didn't go through some sort of quarantine. The entire government of Australia freaked out, like, oh my God, this is horrible. We're going to throw them in doggy prison, which they did. They're threatening, and I don't care about Hollywood actors. I don't care about Johnny Depp either. Don't care about him at all. Threatening to sue the heck out of Johnny Depp, and how dare you? And your rat dogs didn't go through quarantine, and how dare you? And remember that? How dare you? That person. It literally traveled around the world multiple times that Johnny Depp's rat dogs didn't go into some sort of dog quarantine. This sort of strange, germophobic weirdness, that's the best example I could think of. That's just weird. Yeah. I took a position by calling that weird. It's really extreme. And tell me what you think about that. That seems to be, to me anyway, as an outsider, I'm not an Australian, obviously, as an indicator for, it could be anyway, for the weirdness that's going on in Australia that everybody has their eyes on. Here's something else that sounds too weird to believe in. And before I say this, I'd like to point out to you that CBS and Channel 9, I've seen a lot of videos recently from, as someone who lived in communist Russia for years, I can tell you flat out, it's the worst, most horrible lies and propaganda I've ever seen in my life coming out of Australian mainstream media. I mean, listen, American media is no good. Don't like them, don't trust them. They're big liars. But man, I've never seen anything on the atomic level of lies and propaganda and just filth as I've seen out of Australian mainstream media. And I mean that flat out. Just incredible. Just flat out insane incredible. If Australians are watching that and believing it, then, oh, bless your heart. Because that's, it's just not right. Anyway, the Australian police, and there's a guy called Brad Hazard. That's his real name. I think he's Australian chief of police of Victoria, maybe of Melbourne. There's a guy who used to have the coof, apparently. And he's in an elevator all by himself. You see the video of the guy in the elevator. He sneezes. He's all alone. He isn't wearing a face diaper, and he sneezes. And Brad Hazard calls him the worst of the worst. This is exactly right. There's a manhunt. They can't find him. There's a manhunt. Like this guy is like Ted Bundy or, some super demon. Because a guy in an elevator all alone wasn't wearing a face diaper and sneezed. And they were talking about the fact that he didn't cover his mouth when he sneezed. This is going on in Australia. This is not made up. I've seen the video. I've seen Brad Hazard, the big wig there in Australia. The worst of the worst, he called him. A guy sneezing alone in an elevator that wasn't wearing a face diaper and he didn't cover his mouth when he sneezed. Really? Is that the worst crime going on in Australia? I just want to know that. I'm not being facetious. Well, I kind of am. I want to know if that's like the worst thing going on in Australia right now. Not the cops that are, firing rubber projectiles at innocent, non-threatening citizens, or them body-slamming 12-year-old girls. No. The worst thing, apparently. We got to find him. There's an all-points bulletin for this guy who sneezed. They got his name. There's a video of him from the elevator camera. Sneezed in an elevator. You can't make that stuff up. That's actually going on in Australia. I don't know how you think that looks as an outsider, but, listen, and there's a million things I could criticize the United States for, a million things, but man, that's pretty far off the scale. That's, the reason why I brought up the Johnny Depp and dog thing is that it seems to be like a really strange peculiarity of Australia, long before all this nonsense started hitting and, early last year, that Australia is very xenophobic and they seem to be extremely germophobic. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. You say you're just full of poo. Here's another one, and I'll end with this one. And there's a video of this, and there's another video confirming it. There's these government folks. They show up at this guy's door, and if you're an independent, unless you're part of like the mainstream media of Australia, if you're an independent journalist, and you show up to this rally or get together or protest, that you'll immediately go to jail for 5 years. And these government people are reading this at the guy's door. They hand him the paperwork. It's legit. So in other words, don't you show up and don't you report what's going on. We're going to throw you in jail for 5 years. As someone who lived in communist Russia for years, and I did, yeah, I've never seen anything that even approached that in communist Russia. And that's not me attacking Australia. It's really not. I love Australians and Australia. I wished I could visit it. It's just so damn far away and so damn expensive. But when you're telling people you're going to throw them in jail for 5 years if you're an independent journalist and you show up doing nothing, not protesting, nothing, just to cover what's going on. We're going to throw you in jail if you show up and... How dare you show up and cover what's going on? We're going to throw you in jail for 5 years. That's going on in Australia. Tell me what you think about that one. I don't need to tell you what I think because you could read my mind. Jesus, damn. I want to see what the next step of weirdness that comes out of Australia is. The only problem also, too, is that this weirdness is spreading. And it's spreading like wildfire. I'm not going to take opinion on any of this. Just tell me what you think, okay? Thanks.